let's face the reality. In Indian culture, we still today give value to color a lot. And if somebody is a white color, we have a different names. And somebody who's a darker color, we call them by their name. So, Kala, which means black in Hindi, we will call them Kala. We'll call them Kalu, which is somewhere to the line saying, pointing towards the skin of your color. And that happens. That's pretty often. That happens in your personal life, very much so. Are we talking about it in India? I don't think so.
We'll discuss race and how it plays a factor, and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black Executive Perspective.
BEP is on fire. Our audience is growing fast and the impact is real. Now is the time for your brand to grow with us and reach a highly engaged, influential community with real spending power. Don't miss this moment. Email us today at media@TonyTidbit.com. Let's make it happen and put you and your brand in front of the people that matter. We are coming to you live from the new BEP studio for another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space discussing all matters regarding race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. I'm your host, Tony Tidbit.
And I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. Before we get started, we always like to remind you to check out our partners at Code M Magazine. Code M Magazine, whose mission is saving the black family by first saving the black man. Check them out at CodeMMagazine2ms.com.
Definitely check them out. And check out today, we're sitting down with Aman Thakral, business head at Target Integration, for a powerful conversation about rebuilding your life from scratch and navigating corporate America as an immigrant. Aman will speak about leaving India, the culture shocks no one warns you about, and what it really takes to build credibility in a new country when nobody knows your name. From launching Target Integration's U.S. presence to confronting bias, decoding cultural expectations, and learning when to speak up versus when to observe, Aman brings honesty, insight, and strategy to every moment. Aman Thakral, welcome to a Black Executive Perspective podcast, my brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tony, Chris, for having me.
Absolutely. Before we get too deep into it, why don't you give us a little bit about where you're currently residing and kind of your day-to-day with your family and such?
Well, I'm based out of San Jose, California.
Okay.
And I stay with, I'm single. So there's...
Okay.
Yeah, so happy life.
Good place to be.
That's right. Right. That's right. Sunny California.
Yeah. But I have some family around here. So being an immigrant, It's easier when you have your family around here. So it's easy. But otherwise, easy. I'm a hardworking guy. So I wake up 5 in the morning every working day and sometimes on weekend to play tennis.
Okay.
So if my tennis buddies would be watching this, they'll be like, yeah, he's the first one on the court, mostly.
Okay. So you're waking up early, you're getting a lot done. What is the primary thing that you focus on as soon as you wake up? What are you dreaming about and what wakes you up in the morning from a job perspective?
I'm a CRM matchmaker. So what I do is I help companies find out the right CRM product. Fun fact, there are 700,000 CRMs in the market.
Give me for the slow folks like myself. Give me the breakdown of the acronym CRM.
So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management.
It's
a software tool that people use to track their entire business operations, sales, marketing. However, it has now expanded. So it does talk about project management, customer complaints, your bookkeeping, all of that. So anything and everything that you see requires for a business to run from a software standpoint can govern and run by a CRM software.
Okay. No wonder you got to be an early worm. That makes sense. Okay.
And being an early worm, my friend, I mean, listen, you're up early, you're out in the West Coast, the left coast, right? And, you're from India, you've pretty much traveled the globe. So question we have for you, why did you want to come on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, talk about this topic?
Tony, so I believe when I went through your podcast and I spoke to you, I feel there's a huge potential for us to also talk about brown perspective. So I feel there's too much a brown guy goes through when he moves from one country to another country, and there's so much to contribute. And I want this journey to become smoother for the next generation to come. Now, America is a land of opportunity. We all have this one American dream that we want to live, but it does come with its own goods and bad days. So, I want to make sure with this podcast, with the help of both of you, I try to decode this whole process for others to come. And if I can help at least one individual, I'm done.
And listen, I love the decode, right? That's
love
awesome,
that.
right? You can set it up for everybody else to be successful. Why not? So you seem like you're ready to talk about it, my brother. You ready to talk about it?
Always.
All right,
All
let's
right.
talk about it.
So, it's interesting. I like how you said it, coming from church yesterday. If you can only get one, right? You just get one at a time. But let me ask you this about the origin of how this kind of began. I always say every superhero has an origin story. But in your idea of coming here, there's always the concept versus the reality. So what was the actual reaction that you had, or the first thing you can remember when you stepped off the plane and said, okay, damn, I actually did this? Because in theory, you got a lot of courage and a lot of guts. But then when the rubber meets the road and the bullets start flying, like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So when you got off that plane, what were you thinking? What were you feeling in that moment?
All right, truth to be told, when I reached here, I was 33, 34, and initially I thought it's gonna be a cakewalk. I've been doing CRM matchmaking since 12, 13 years, so it's easier. I'll just unpack my bag, start selling CRMs, and I'll be a rich guy. But man, oh man, the reality came back to me. It is hard. It is hard because there's a huge cultural change. I'm in California. So the moment you land in California, that's how I landed for my work. There's a huge change. People don't wear shirts. People don't wear business suits in the meeting. And I went to our first business meeting all decked up.
That's right.
I was the odd one out. And I was like, okay, there are people in shorts. And they're not just any guy. They are millionaires who are in shorts. So the huge change is the cultural change, where it's not about how much money you have. It's about how much comfort and how much knowledge you carry, showcase your experience. So I think the biggest change for anyone who's coming from India to US for work is to go through the cultural change. Language comes later. At least California, it's pretty diverse, and India does speak a lot of language, a lot of English, and a lot of people would agree English is the second language for most of the Indians.
Okay.
So in that case, for you, language may not be a bigger concern, but the cultural things are very important. And second thing that I learned is the timings of jokes.
Okay.
No,
Nuances.
Okay.
For example, I was a BNI member in India, and sometimes not in a very degrading meet, but if somebody flumbles, we sometimes chuckle in a meeting. Whereas as a culture in America, if somebody flumbles, people are quiet. They are giving them space to come back on your feet and finish your speech again. But that's different. So I think you go through this small nuances changes. So I used to see that I'm the only one who chuckled in the meeting where nobody else did. That
Right.
made me feel that my understanding of that situation was not the understanding of the room.
Right. Right.
Gotcha.
So you see those small nuances and decide, okay, the clothes are different, the cultural changes are different, jokes are different. Some political conversations you may like not to speak in the business conversations. There's huge change that I think, and like they say, God lies in details. So you'll see that
Right.
details.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Because now it never got contentious or threatening when you chuckled at somebody who had misspoke or misstep. You didn't feel like somebody wanted to talk to you after the meeting.
After the first one, I've realized now I should be a follower than a leader. So if others chuckle, then I'll chuckle.
Okay.
Otherwise, I won't.
Wise man, wise man.
I
So
did my
Aman,
mistake, get covered up.
It's time to rethink your protein. AgriLab's protein bars are crafted with high-quality protein, double the leucine, and enriched branched-chain amino acids, essential for optimal muscle recovery. Finally, a protein bar that works as hard as you do. So visit agrilabs.com and use the code BEP to get 20% off. That's agrilabs.com, promo code BEP.
Let me ask you this. So I get it. You came and, people, are in T-shirts, millionaires in T-shirts, and, the timing of jokes and obviously those things are different, right? But let's be fair though, too, right? You came from India. Is it 1 billion people in India? 2 billion people?
1.5.
1.5 billion, right? And
Yeah.
the majority of those people are brown people. They look like you. Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously you flew here and you got off, and obviously, you were overdressed and stuff to that nature. But you've been in a lot of spaces, I would imagine, that there wasn't a lot of people that looked like you, right? Matter of fact, you might have been the few, a couple, or one or two, right? So what was some of those early misunderstandings, culture shocks? Nobody told me this moments that shaped you when you first got here, because as you kicked off the show, this is the land of opportunity and all those things, right? And obviously you were coming here, like you said, I was going to sell a bunch of CRM stuff and make $1 million, right? So talk a little bit about that.
So for me, there's different cultural shocks. I mean, are you referring at the cultural side of things or the business side of things?
Whatever, cultural side of things.
So another cultural change that I'll talk about is more towards, beside dressing and conversation, is the gender things. So a lot of in India somehow, and some people may find it controversial, but it's a men-driven community. A lot of men are in business than the women. Whereas when you come to US, you realize it's at least 50-50, or at least 40-60, if not 50-50. So you'll see women, men, they both are in the room. You'll see a lot of family structures different. So people will talk about family, senior care. These businesses don't even exist in India. So we do not have a senior care facility. We would not have people talking about, I'll take my parents. I recently come across a business opportunity called caregiver manager. So a lady who would take care of all the seniors in a caregiving facility. These kind of businesses do not exist. So you need to learn about different kind of businesses, different kind of family structures. Indians usually stay with parents and family members, whereas in US you would see people staying alone. So when somebody says, I took permission from my mom to come and meet over this weekend, and you probably will like, why? But that's usual here. So you need to understand these small nuances and probably go around with them, and then make sure. And that's where I think it's good to be a follower. When I was talking to Tony before that, he said when to speak and when to listen, or when to follow, is a good strategy. And I think when you are a new land, and this happens across America, is not just a different country. I've lived in 4 countries: Ireland, UK, Dubai. Every country has their own behavior. Even within India, there's northern part of India and there's western part of India. I think we all need to be a more observer than a leader in certain situations, at least in a new place, and then make your steps and make your stance on things.
Let me say this, because I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. Give yourself a little grace. The fact is, you never know until you jump into it, right?
Exactly.
But what gave you the impression of how it was going to be? How does someone from India in general? I know you can't speak for everybody. It's a billion people, right? But how do you get the understanding? Because the only thing that leads to disappointment is expectations. So you had expectations, and then when you got here, you were like, whoa, this is not what where did those expectations come from? How do you develop in a foreign country? How do you develop expectations about a different land and what's going to happen when you get there? Or you just go in with hard work and dedication and think it's going to work itself out?
I think blame the Hollywood.
Oh, Hollywood. Okay, the media. Blame
So
the media.
Hollywood, that right? So you watch too many John Wayne movies,
Wayne
right?
movies,
And then all of a sudden
that's right.
you came over here expecting.
Wear the cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Wear the cowboy hats, or you're probably watching Wolf of Wall Street and movies
Yeah.
you listen to it and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna go change a little of your accent. People will start writing me $1 million checks or $100,000 of checks, and you'll become a millionaire like in 2 months.
Okay. That's funny.
So go ahead, Aman.
Yeah, no, so I think expectation usually happens from various content you watch on TV, then
Gotcha.
social media plays a role. I don't know if you've seen this, a lot of people on Instagram now post quick ways to become rich. Now, I'm not saying I came with the expectation to become rich in 2 months. I've been in business for 12 years, so I knew it's gonna be a little rocky road, but I knew it'll be worth a while, and that's what made me give a shot. And it is, no question about it. No matter how hard and difficult it is, it's surely worth an attempt. And like I said, it's a great country, and if you really do a hard work, it'll pay you back for sure.
So talk a little bit about, your company Target Integration, right? You came here, you came to plant a flag here, to be honest, right? To start something from zero, from scratch. So talk a little bit about that experience in terms of, obviously the culture shock, but then you came here to build a business. Talk about that experience.
So we are a B2B business. What we do is we work with small and medium businesses and help them find a CRM. Now, beside the individual difference, there's a huge difference the way whole business happens in America versus in India. For example, in India, making phone calls is easier. You can pick up there's less data security. I don't want to be controversial here. There is a data security, but there's less data security things. So I can always pick up a call, make somebody a random call, at 9 o'clock and say, hey, would you like to talk? I do CRM. But that's not something you can do in US. US is very email heavy culture, and that too, if you're spamming people, your domain gets blocked, and then you cannot send emails. I cannot really send emails to unknown people. So I've realized that for way to grow is networking in in US, and which does work in America, in India too, but it's still very word of mouth driven. So if Tony knows Chris, then only Chris will like to work with Aman. Whereas US is open with networking. It takes its own sweet time, but you can build your set of network. And I've realized for me to grow my US operation of business, the best strategy is to network. I started meeting people in Chamber of Commerce. I started meeting people in BNI, Vistage, EO, wherever I could go. Of course, I had little money. So whatever way I can get into a free networking meeting or meetups, I got involved, wisely decide where to spend money, and then eventually become their member and talk to people, have a habit of connecting people. That's something comes natural to me. So if I see Chris is in a complementary business of Tony, I'll connect both of them, and in a virtue of which I get some good deeds, which results me in some great suggestions and networking forward. So networking have been my most vital strategy to grow.
Let me ask you this about that networking, because, and I'm going to kind of exacerbate a stereotype. So one of the concepts is that all black folks know each other. So if me and Tony are somewhere and we say hi, we must went to school together or be related or whatever the case may be. Right. And so obviously I'm thinking you were in India, everybody spoke the same language, no matter what region, everybody knew each other. So it was easy to network. How difficult is it when you get to a place where you condition yourself as the brown folks? So now it's not just brown folks. You know what I mean? It's all folks. How hard was it for you to go from just networking with brown folks in India to networking with everybody, including women and older people, younger people? Like, it's a lot more diversity of perspective and thought and position in the United States. How difficult was that?
I think my networking in India versus my networking in US is poles apart.
Okay.
Like you said, India, everybody's brown. We speak similar language. It's easy to connect. You know the same political jokes. You know the XYZ jokes. You can crack on things. Go for a coffee. You understand how everything works. Now, this is very interesting in America that you have to find ways. For example, if somebody who's elder in age, somebody who's in 80s, would not probably laugh on the same things how somebody in 20s or 30s would do. So you have to find ways and topics to talk. For example, games. Talk about games in America. I'm in Bay Area, so 49ers is a big thing to talk. So I learned the sport. I'm still not a pro, but I learned the terminology, players, go to Levi stadiums, understand how the game happens. So game is a great way to go and talk to people. Then music. All thanks to Google. You go, sometimes when you go to these networking events, they ask you a question like, tell me your favorite song from 90s. Now just do not wait for it. Whatever song that people say, Google them, listen to them, understand what's the background. So you are rewiring yourself and adapting and learning it together. So when you go out, I think the strategy is you have to sync up with what people speak. And it's a skill that I probably learned back in India while being in call center. So I was a call center employee.
Okay.
So I learned a skill of let the other person speak. So tell me about yourself. So the trick is do not let them ask you about yourself first. Rather, you tell me what do you about yourself. And the time you do it and they start explaining, always listen actively, not just a passive listener.
Right.
Be an active listener, understand what they're saying, ask them for their weekend plans and things like those. And I usually keep multiple desktop or multiple screens with me. So I quickly search, okay, so this is where this person is. This is the game that they play. And then relate the whole conversation around this. And if you're meeting in person, talk about food. Food is a great connector across the world. Everybody loves food. So talk about food and talk about games, talk about weather, talk about movies. These are few of the topics that I think works the most. Movies are the least because depending upon what culture you come from, what era you come from, people like different movies.
Right.
And sometimes you can be well caught. So if somebody says a 90s, 70s movie and you do not even know about it, you cannot really contribute in the conversation. So I think about food, drinks are a great conversation starter. And then talk about weathers and best ways. And some of the quick questions, like I always ask, what's your favorite learning from life? It's a good conversation starter.
Got it. Okay, buddy. Well, so listen, I mean, obviously you've learned how to network and know how to, how should I say, integrate yourself into a conversation, make people feel comfortable, more importantly, make them be able to respond because, like you said, you actively listen and do those things, right? But let me ask you this. When did you first started dealing you started noting little biases that you didn't recognize at first, but then you finally, after you got ingrained in the culture a little bit more, you finally recognize that they were making fun of me, or they were saying something that now I get it and I don't like it. So talk a little bit about that.
So I have a very interesting story to tell. This was probably the first month of me landing here, and I went to a networking event. It was happening over Zoom. It was post COVID era, so people were still not going out to meet people in person. And I met this gentleman. Of course, I would not like to disclose the name, And I told the gentleman that, hey, white guy, and I spoke to him and told him what I do. He loved what I do. We were great power partners. So much so that he said he has business for me. I was like, fabulous, let's surely meet. And he sent me an email saying, let's catch up tomorrow for a coffee at Starbucks, so and so location. And half an hour later, I got a big email, like a whole paragraph email saying why he would not like to work with an Indian guy.
Oh.
Say that again.
Yeah, he wrote a whole big email, probably like 300, 400 words email. And I still have that in my inbox saying, I would not like to, and he was right to an extent. He was saying, I would not like to outsource this work to India. And then I replied very politely saying, I understand your concern. You don't want to bring this work out, but don't you worry. I am based here. This is my phone number. Why don't you understand? Why don't you, ring me and I'm going to meet you? And he was like, no, I do not want to do that. I do not trust people from different color. And I kind of understand, but he was like, no, this won't work. Then couple of months later, I met a gentleman who said, because of your accent, it feels like you're not from here and you are faking it. So I would not give you business. I said, do you want me to carry my DL with me saying, hey, I'm in California? So fun fact, and Tony has seen me doing this. So my desk in my home is next to a window. And it was intentionally kept. Because every time somebody kind of shows some kind of distrust that I am not in States, I actually take the window blind off and say, see, there's a sun. And sun is here. I am in your country. If you check the time in India, it's night.
Okay.
I'm about to say because
I was going to say, sun is everywhere.
I think the sun shine all over the world, right? So I don't know if you can use that as a geographical point that I'm actually here in California. You see the sun? All right. But we definitely get your point of view. But let's back up for a second, Fred, because I just want to make sure I heard what I heard. You said that with the first story, the person was like, yeah, I have business for you. Right. And then later sent you an email saying he would never give you business because you're Indian and he wouldn't want to. So why would he say that he had business? Did he see you? I don't understand.
If you like what you hear and want to join us on this journey of making uncomfortable conversations comfortable, please subscribe to a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe now to stay connected for more episodes that challenge, inspire, and lead the change.
So he saw on my website that we have an Indian address, and then of course my skin, and he was like, now this confirms me that you are Indian and I do not want to give you business.
Got it. But all that being said, how did that make you feel? I mean, just talk a little bit because I don't, and did you experience that type of bias when you were in India?
Well, I'll be very honest. I would not blame this guy or I would not blame US per se for this. I think that's how humans are across. I'm little, again, controversial era, but I'm from North. If you look at the Indian map, I'm from a capital of country called Delhi, which is north part of the India. But it has happened with me when I tried to expand my business from north to different parts of the country too. That people do have their apprehension when somebody who's not from the region come into the region. So it's not just US. It does happen to me when I went to the west side of the country or the south side of the country or the other side of the country. But that's
right.
As probably I became thick-skinned even in India before coming to US, that these things do not impact me much. I'm very motivated that I'm a guy who's a host and he has these two flanks in front
blinders.
of his eyes. The blinders. So
you didn't let it affect you. You still was able to move forward. This is where I'll push back on you a little bit, my friend. And I love your attitude because you're trying to look at it as more of an objective standpoint, which totally makes sense, right? And to be fair, even here in the United States, if I went down south and I was going to work with somebody, I would try to, make them feel comfortable. I would roll my sleeves up. I would, whatever, right? I would try to make them see me or feel that I'm a local, if not as much. But if I'm not a local, but I definitely understand the landscape of, what the community is about and this and that. So I get that part. And you being in India and then going from one area, India, to another area, India, I can still get that part too, where like you from that side, we don't want to work with. Right. But so I can get that, right? I can get that, right? The challenge though, where I push back on you, is I don't think if you went from one side of India to the other side of India and they looked at you and said, I don't want to work with you because you don't look like, you see what I'm saying here? So I get the geopolitical part, geographical area that, you just said it earlier. People in California, they wearing T-shirts. And I know, working in New York for the last 25 years, I go to California, it's way too slow for me, right? Because people here moving like this and that, and then people in California, they doing the moonwalk, right? So I get that part. But just for somebody to look at you and say, I wouldn't do business with you, right? Because of the way you look. That's where I would disagree with you a little bit. What's your thoughts on that?
It feels bad, Tony. I won't see. There are two sides of me. One is human side and one is the professional side. As a professional side, I don't care. My way is to march forward and I'll keep on marching forward, whatever you throw at me. But as a human, it does hurt. It does hurt in your personal life. It does hurt when a girl will say, hey, you are Indian, I don't want to date Indian people. It does happen. I can talk about it in some other podcast, some other time. But it does hurt a little when I am on the desk, I'm on a booth with another employee of Tower Integration. She's white, I'm brown. People will come to her, not to me more. It does happen. And how does it make me feel? Not so good. I won't say it's a great feeling. But I don't know what to do about it.
Let me ask you something a little deeper, because Tony was talking about he go down south, roll up his sleeve. One of the things that we have discovered, I've discovered, and I'm sure Tony can attest to this, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, right? So the concept of when you got here, or for anyone else that's coming, because that's what you're doing this for, right? Is it a baked in kind of understood dynamic that all Indian people support each other when they show up here, and all of everybody you reached out to that was also Indian was on board with helping you grow your business? Or what was it like when you first got that opportunity and somebody that was Indian said, nah, I'm straight on you? How did that feel?
Oh man, if you are an Indian, and please don't roast me online for saying that. If you're an Indian, don't go to Indian to take a help. They will hurt you more than anything else. Like today, I'm an IT service provider. CRM just a part of it. So macro level, I'm an IT service provider. 99% of people who are Indian, they would not give me work.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Why is that?
Educate us.
Yeah, because somehow they come from a mindset saying this guy surely would be outsourcing the work, or this guy surely would be, why should I pay for IT services when I can do it, somebody else in my relative can do it, and things like those. So today,
I get that part, though. I get that part, right? Because at the end of the day, not that I get it to a point where, but at least it's not based on some other external factors, right?
oh, they are. So they'll be like, they'll be on a fact that you just recently came in. I've heard a term called fob, fresh off the boat.
Okay.
A lot used for me in the beginning. They would be like, you're a fob. What? Being a fob, it's a fun journey, right? And it made me Google it. I did not know what was fob. So when people started calling me, you're a fob, I don't know if I would like to give a work. I first went on Google and said, what is fob? So yeah, fresh off the boat, it does happen. And so even in the Indian community, you'll see two category of people. Those who are second generation, third generation, who have got the American accent, and those who probably would call them more American than what we are. So they will look at you differently. Whereas somebody who is probably similarly migrated after their 20s, 30s, not in their early times. So that's a difference that you would see not just in the work culture, but you will also see in the personal life side. I have seen, I mean, when you're out on in the dating world, you'll see females responding back saying you're not the American Indian, you're just an Indian. You are Indian, but you do not understand how we live in America. So these things do come out from the same set of brown people. Does hurt. Again, I'm a pretty motivated, happy-go-lucky guy, so I just brush it off and move on. But it does hurt you.
You talked about it. One side is business, one side is professional, or one side is business, one side is personal, the human being side of it. This tends to affect both sides, though. So how
Correct,
do you
correct.
overcome that when you have a list or you have a strategy and you say, hey, the one thing I look for, and I think most people look for, is familiarity, right? So I know if I got an alumni network from my university and they come up on LinkedIn or whatever, I'm like, I got it in. Like you said, that connection and conversation. With this baked in connection to India, to different things, how do people come here and then forget about all that and say, no, you're a fob? Like, if we were home, I would work with you. But we're here, and so you're not good. What the hell is that?
Talk about the mindset of that, though.
Yeah,
Why do people
yeah.
feel that way?
Yeah.
I think I don't want to use that word, but there is a certain inclination towards a different skin tone.
Okay.
That they feel that when I'm paying a same set of price, why should I not pay this to a different skin tone? And I'm not trying to name a skin tone.
Yep.
Why don't
But
I
we
pay
know
to
what
a-
this. White people,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So in
yeah,
other
yeah,
words,
yeah. The
they're
premium.
willing
It's
to
the white
pay
premium.
white people. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
They're
white
willing to.
premium.
So in other words, I'm gonna get my money's worth if I give it to a white person versus if I
Yep,
just give it
yep.
to somebody look like me. I
Yeah.
feel like it's inferior, right? And
Right,
so that's
right.
that's what they think.
100%.
Wow.
And where did that come from, though? So how did that start?
I think from slavery.
So no. But this is a good point, though, because hold on. When
Yeah.
you say from slavery, like, what do you mean?
I mean, India has been under British for a very long time. Somehow, if you look at it, Indians per se would behave differently, and people would hate me for saying this, but come on, accept this. We would behave differently when a white guy would ask for help versus a brown guy ask for help. We would see that the white guy, even if he has bad intentions, deep down will be say, because he's white guy, let's help him more because he would need the help. But he's a brown guy. I'm sure he has ulterior motives. So I think it's more from a mindset saying they're above and beyond. So they are better because I think somehow skin tone is attached uh, with the better and a good thing here, inferior or
Yep.
superiority here. That's where, and I would say, personally speaking, my white customers are better customers than my brown customers.
Now but let's be fair on this. Like Tony would say, let's be fair. I think that for me, I know that a lot of times if I'm doing business with black people, that we want the hookup. We want the you know what I mean?
Go ahead, Finsbury. Yeah, go ahead. It's true.
We
It's
want
true.
the hookup, or we want the best friend discount. We want,
Correct,
even
correct.
though your work is valued as X,
Correct.
I want you to give it to me at Y because of our connection, as opposed to acknowledging and appreciating the full value and accelerating your growth by giving you the full market value, as opposed to trying to undercut it for my own benefit. Why is the community not? Because the one thing, I live in a neighborhood and it's a lot of Indian families, like you said, multi-generation. And the one thing that they do is a lot of stuff together. So my impression was that they always pony up and do everything together. So I'm really taken aback by you saying, no, that's not always the way. What is the disconnect?
So personal life and professional life. Personal life, if I'm hanging out, I will hang out, and they're the best people to hang out with.
Okay.
Because same language, we would not speak English. We would, and when I'm referring brown people, I'm not referring people more in India. I'm referring brown people in America
Yep.
than
Yep.
anything else. So they will hang out more. I mean, most of my time, most of my Instagram stories, a lot of things would be around Indian, and they are the best people to hang out with. But this is a certain behavior happens only in the professional ground. And I don't mind answering your second part of the question. Do I mind giving friends and family discount? Not at all. I would love to. But I would want equal respect. And this should be not given as something that I'm supposed to give, but something which I am showing as my courtesy. You know? So it's not that I mind giving friends and family discount. Everything is for you. But give me the due respect. I'm sure we all agree. Beside money, we all work for something called respect.
Right.
It's treat, and this is not just because I'm a business owner. I have seen this differently when we have mix of employees. We have white employees, brown employees. If my customer sees, and a brown customer sees, based out of US, sees a white employee versus a brown employee, he will listen to the white employee more. And it's not about money. Now you're not paying money to anyone. You have already decided the deal. Everything's running smooth. It's just that the inclination that we see towards somebody being superior to us just because they have a different skin tone is the wrong way of looking at it.
And here's the thing, though, my brother. And number one, you're right, right? What I'm hearing, and I'm glad that you're, being transparent and being authentic and vulnerable and opening up here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast. So what I'm hearing is how long did the British rule India?
200 years.
So 200 years. So 200 years.
Yep.
And was it 1940s when you became independent? When was it?
1947 when we got there.
1947. Okay. So we talking 70 years or something like that?
70,
80, maybe 80 years, maybe, right? So basically what I'm hearing is that there's 200 years of a mindset that white people are superior. Even though you fought for your own independence, even though you're separate, even though you're one of the top economic countries in the world, right? But at the end of the day, that 200-year mindset trumps, no pun intended, the 70-year or 80-year independence. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, I completely agree to this. I would not deny. Yes, in my mindset, we do. Very interestingly, I said English is a second language in India in the early part of the podcast. This is not because I won't say this is because English is a global language and we should speak. That's why. It is probably because the inclination towards English because the Britishers were there. There are so many people and there are so many parents back in home teach their kids English more than their own national language. Why is that? Is it just because it's a international language? Okay, then it makes sense. Please keep on doing it. But if the intention is because the language is superior, that's also something where you should introspect and feel. Knowledge is knowledge, regardless what language it belongs to.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you talk about, two cultures, two playbooks, right? Especially since you've come here in the United States, right? Do your friends or, the other Indian people, do they talk openly about some of these challenges because here in the United States, look, let's be fair. Black people, when I was a kid, I was called, because I was dark skinned and my sister or people were light skinned, they thought they were superior because they have lighter skin. Okay, so just to be fair, this ain't, people who have Hispanic descent, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, same thing, right? If you're dark skinned, the Cubans, right? Dark skinned, you're the bottom of the bottom. But if you're light skinned, you kind of look white, then you feel that you're more superior. So to be fair, it's that, unfortunately, that's pretty much in a lot of cultures when it comes, that's what we call colorism, right? All that being said, do with your friends and stuff who are dark like you or whatever. And then, what I'm hearing is that really don't even matter because they still see white people as superior. But do you guys actively talk about these things? Because that's one of the things that we do is in the black community, right? We actively talk. Now, I don't know if we solve a lot of problems, but we actively talk about these things. So do you guys actively talk and try to push back against that narrative?
It's seldom. It's seldom. You would see in Indian cosmetic industry, a lot of cosmetics talks about how to be fair.
So how
And
to change your color, make it lighter.
Yes, right. You would see a lot of cosmetics just talk about how to be brighter. That's it. The whole objective of that shampoo, of that soap, of that body wash, of that cream is to become lighter, which has changed. There have been of one fairness cream who used to call themselves as Fair and Lovely, now have changed their name into something else. But we do not talk much. I would love to see some comments where any Indian community internally or the people in 20s, 30s spoken about it. But do we talk about colors and look down at a color? We do. I mean, let's face the reality. There's very recently on Instagram, somebody was trolling a couple because the guy was darker in color, and they were saying this guy must be rich. That's why she got married to him. Right? So let's face the reality. In Indian culture, we still today give value to color a lot. And if somebody is a white color, we have a different names. And somebody who's a darker color, we call them by their name. So Kala, which means black in Hindi, we will call them Kala. We'll call them Kalu, which is somewhere to the line saying, pointing towards the skin of your color. And that happens. That's pretty often. That happens in your personal life, very much so. Are we talking about it in India? I don't think so.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. So, from a business perspective, we have things that we call code switching, right? And so, basically, you're this person or this personality around your community, but then when it's about getting this money, you button up and you act like they act. Do you? And I could bring up politicians. I could bring up prominent Indian figures in the media that I consider to be sellouts or to have code switched, and they act like, look at me, pick me, the pick me people, right? Do you guys look at that? And obviously there's a business incentive that's being presented to fall in line and to be, sunned. But do you have the visceral reaction to that we do when we see an Uncle Tom or somebody that's, acting like that for the sake of, trying to be in favor of
Yes,
these people in charge? Yes, yeah. Step and fetch it.
Yeah, so political game is political game, and it plays everywhere in the world. I won't deny on that. But on the basis of color, no. In India, as of today, I would say color conversation is more towards in a common living life, but not part of the politics as of today.
Okay.
Sadly, we are currently fighting, which is very sad. We are currently fighting on languages. India has many languages, so every state has a language.
Yep.
So we are fighting on languages. We are fighting on religion, but somehow the current political in past 70 years, we haven't really fought much on the color of skin.
Okay.
But in the common life, for example, let's say you're a father of a daughter and she's supposed to get married, and you have two boys who does the same job, who has same backgrounds, same earnings, but they might end up choosing the white guy just because or fairer guy because he's the fair guy.
But let me ask you this more specifically. You come here, and how do you feel about the guy? He's just like you, same age, same region, same everything. And then he comes here and he wants to make sure you call him Bob. And he wants to make sure you don't speak anything but English to him. And he's all in. You know what I mean? Like, how do you address those type of situations? Because that's his right. But is that how's the heritage and all that kind of play into those type of dynamics professionally?
Professionally, honestly, as an
Is
immigrant,
he a more serious businessman because he came here and assimilated, or is he a more serious businessman because he's bought into the narrative?
not at all.
Okay.
Surely not. Come on.
Okay.
I would rather. I would
He was like,
rather.
hell no.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on, man. You kidding me? Hell no.
But people do it. People do it all the time. Like you've been involved with
nobody,
somebody
I know.
and you're like, what in the world?
Exactly.
How I look at it in my world, anyone who contribute to such conversation, and he's a business owner, I know that they would not go far.
Okay.
I may want them to become my customer, but I can see that they are very narrow-minded or very narrow-sighted.
Okay.
If you are contributing yourself in such petty topics, surely you're not a good business person.
Okay.
Now, how would I react? Individually, I ignore and move on.
Okay.
I do not try to defend. I try a very soft, polite way to saying, hey, I understand, but let's get back to the topic. Let's do business. Buy my CRM. Let me just move out. But if he or she is super inclined towards this topic, I would rather save my time and try to sell my software and service somewhere else. But how does it feel? It does hurt me. No question about it. I'm a human. Right? Eventually, after wearing all this happy-go-lucky face, I do have a heart which cries sometime, and I would not deny it. But eventually, you have to move on. You have to be thick-skinned. You cannot just let negativity power you more, and you get forced out of it. I think the only way to answer such kind of criticism is to show that you are powerful with your work, you are powerful with your effort, and you achieve higher success than imagine a guy who sent me this email in the beginning of my career tomorrow see me as one of the billionaire. Nothing could be a better answer than that.
There's no question, buddy. So talk about that here. Talk about when you went from, how long you been here now? You said what, 12, 13 years?
No, so 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years. I'm sorry, my friend.
Okay.
I'm already aging you, right? So, so you've been here 4 or 5
I'm
years.
losing it.
Tell us a little bit when, you finally got over the hump saying, I'm not just surviving here, I'm actually winning here. When did that transformation happen?
I think it will never happen. Trust me. It'll never happen. Even if tomorrow I'll be in my 50s and probably have $1 billion in my kitty, if somebody wants to say shit about me, they will. Pardon my French. I'm not here to stop what people think about me at all.
No. I get that part, but I'm talking about regardless of that. When you first came here, like you said, you had to learn the culture. There's a lot of things. The guy didn't want to work with you because, of your background. But then at some point, you finally turned the corner and you're building a thriving business, right? So you went from surviving to actually thriving. At some point, that's my point. So was there a moment when you said, you know what, this is actually working for me? Actually, I'm starting to move forward.
I'm a numbers guy. The moment I had $1 million sales, I'm like done.
Okay.
Mic down. I am getting my revenue. So I as a business owner, as a decision maker, as a manager, I only govern by numbers. So
you haven't gotten to that level yet.
I think I am fairly there.
Okay. But my point is that you're starting from a number standpoint, to your point, from a number standpoint, right? You're seeing some type of success from a number standpoint, right? So you're starting to win from that standpoint, correct?
Yeah.
But what you're saying, though, also, what I'm hearing with me and Chris is, yeah, I'm succeeding there, but from a personal, cultural standpoint, it still feels like I'm behind. Is that what we're hearing?
I don't think so. I'm behind, but I know there's a segment of people who think I'm behind, and I don't care about them.
Gotcha.
Right.
I come from a country which has a 1.5 billion people. I know how to ignore.
Okay. Right. Let me ask you. Let me ask you a topical question that would resonate with a lot of people now. We often hear talk about the superimposition of diverse meaning black, right? And the concept of immigrant meaning criminal, meaning escapee. You are a great immigrant story.
Correct.
You are a successful business owner. You've done what you needed to do. Like you said, came, put your head down, worked hard, took out all the distractions. How do you feel when the narrative about immigrants, what you are, is so negative and people are blindly following the perpetuation of that narrative? How do you feel about that? Does it make you nervous? Does it make you angry? Do you guys talk about it as immigrants?
Oh, very much. Now, as immigrants, we talk about this every day.
Okay.
Every weekend evening party, every coffee that immigrants set is a
So
topic.
what do you guys talk about? What are you saying to this?
Visa status, the hatred that we see towards Indians or immigrants, the kind of I won't say it is a free country, but I won't say we are fully free. For example, the other day I saw somebody speaking things ill about Indians, saying any immigrant who say bad words should be put behind the bars. I have seen cops. If somebody calls 911, they will listen to the white guy more than the brown guy. It does happen, right? So, do we talk about it every day? Most of the immigrants are on visa, and somehow people now consider visa people are somebody who's stealing the job, which is not true. We are getting the job done. We're not stealing jobs. So, is it scary? Yes. Does it hurt? Yes. But I think the administration also see the brighter side and support this. That's why we guys exist. But in the common culture, we do see sometime people, going out, and common people, those who haven't seen the brighter side of immigration, sometimes come out and look at things bad way. I'm trying to be very selective with my words.
Right.
No,
Absolutely.
we get it. We get it. We get it.
But that's not something that came from Hollywood. So were you caught off guard when you got here? And that was because it was saying, hey, we take your poor and tired. We bring your the Statue of Liberty quotes and all of that. And then you get here and they like, go home and taking our jobs and shit like. So how much of a culture shock was that? Because that does affect you financially. That does have a cascading effect on your bottom line, because now the imagery is, I don't necessarily want to do business with those guys because I don't know what's going to happen to me if I'm associating with an immigrant.
And then not only that, what could happen in the future, right? So maybe they didn't do nothing right now, but because the temperature is hot, right, that we can be a target at some point, or I could lose business at some point.
Oh, I think it is. See, business is always a great mirage of what's happening in the society. But if you look at society, I know a lot of Indians who do not put their god and goddess picture on a car. We usually, because they know if people will see their god picture on the car, they'll probably have more break-ins and people will break the car. I know a lot of Indians do not name their kids on Indian names because they're like, hey, no, we don't want to get there. So do we talk about it? We know there's a hatred going on. Yes, we do know there's a hatred going on. Is it right? I mean, who's doing it? I'm not getting into that conversation. Who's doing it? But there is, and we know temperature is hot. Right. But it does hurt. There's a huge cascading effect. There's constant fear going on all the time. I know a lot of people do not buy houses because they feel like, what if tomorrow my job goes away, or there's some kind of society-wide feeling and I have to sell everything and go back to India. So they're like, I'll keep everything with me. I'll have everything in liquid cash, but would not buy a home here. And some do. I'm not saying not everybody feels that way. But there is a fear and nobody can question that. There's always a fear about visa. There's a fear about what any crime happens to us, will there be anyone who would listen to us or not? Will there be good stories for us or not? So there's a constant fear, there's a constant concern. We always need to be in check, and we need to be very cautious about words. I would say this is one of the podcasts where I'm also being very cautious about with my words, because everybody's listening.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right,
I'll say this. I'll say this. As we wrap up, one of the things that we've discovered by talking to people from different places, and it's been a joy, is that nobody moves away from where they're from to be lazy. Like
Yeah.
nobody
Oh,
decides I'm going to go somewhere that I'm unfamiliar with. Fish out of water, fresh off the boat, whatever term you want to call
find a
it.
job. I got to find a house. I got to do
Man.
all this. I'm
And
already
you just
behind
want
the
to
eight
be
ball.
lazy.
Right.
Man, these people who go places, Tony's not from where he lives. I'm not from where I live. We came to work. We came to get it in. You came to work. You came to get it in. Why do you believe that the narrative is that people are coming to take or for handouts, as opposed to the reality, like you said, to come and contribute and be hard workers? Why is it so hard for people to want to accept that, in your opinion?
I think sometimes politically motivated conversations. Who's doing it? I'm not getting involved. And so, I have to be conscious.
I don't want to get no names.
Right. You ain't heard it from me. My name
You ain't
Bennett.
saying
I ain't in
that.
it.
Right. Okay, buddy. All right.
I'm still on visa. Okay.
Okay, we get it. We get it.
We're feeling you, baby. I'm feeling you.
We
I'm
got
feeling
you.
you.
We got you. We got you.
Feeling
We got
you.
you.
Right. So, and also sometimes I feel people have this, and this is not just American. This is across the world. People have tendency to blame others for their own failures.
Yep.
It's a competitive world.
Yep.
Be it in India, be it in a location, be it in America, be it in Canada. No matter where you go, it's a competitive world. Everybody is fighting for their own existence. Everybody is fighting for their own strength. You have to be the best to get the job, regardless. If you are a janitor, you need to be a good janitor to get a job. If
Correct.
you are engineer, you need to be a good engineer. If you are a coach, you need to be a good coach. So if you are failing, people sometime, instead of doing introspection, start blaming other people. And it's easier to blame immigrant who's anyway an alien entity in your country. And saying, oh, I'm not able to get the job because this alien is taking away my job. I'm not saying this is 100% true for every case, but I'm saying, how about building a new ISP, coming out with your own niche? For example, as target integration, we make sure that we bring a lot of local resources instead of outsourcing work to India, because I know this, that there's a accent difference, there's a difference of timing, there's a difference of culture. If somebody would not understand how a email cadence work in America, can never create that cadence in a CRM. So I believe before we build this hatred anywhere in the world that somebody else is taking away my job, somebody else is taking away my girlfriend, be a better boyfriend.
Yeah, but here's the thing, my brother, and I hear your point. The challenge is, it's not even a challenge. The reality is those people wouldn't want those jobs anyway. And they still complain. You see my point here? So it's not like they're taking something. They wouldn't work the job anyway. Okay? Because to your point, people always trying to blame somebody else for their own faults or their own laziness, okay? Or their own lack of education or whatever the case may be, right? Final thoughts. The final question I have for you, right? Let's be fair though, too, right? People are still coming. People are still coming from India. People are still coming from other places to come and work and bring something to the table here. So based on your own story, right? Based on your experience, what's the message you want every immigrant, every person of color, and every underdog to understand, to take away from your journey?
The one line answer is never give up. Never give up. If you have a dream, keep on pursuing it. There'll be obstacles regardless. Some will talk about your color. Some will talk about your expertise. Some will talk about your price. Some will talk about you are not capable. It's you who make a decision whether you want to give up or you don't want to give up. Nobody else does. So if you keep one motto that I have a goal and I need to walk towards my goal regardless of my obstacles, you will reach it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow. I cannot assure you, but you will surely reach there. That I can surely assure you. So never give up.
Let me ask you this. How can a Black Executive Perspective podcast help you or target integration in any way? Because you bring such an energy and such an enthusiasm to what this country was founded on, which is immigrants. We just had a conversation last week about the Revolutionary War being fought by immigrants. And we just, for whatever reason, choose to selectively forget that that's what this nation is built upon, and what we thrive upon is that melting pot. So you being a key contributor to the melting pot, how can we help you?
See, as an individual or as an immigrant, my perspective would be help us reduce the hatred that we see online more than in real world towards the immigrants. If you're watching this and if you believe immigrants are good, when you see a negative post, dislike it or write a comment saying they're not bad. Say good words. See,
Right.
It's all about people and I'm not saying everybody's doing it. There are some bots as well who are going online and writing negative things.
Yep.
But if you condemn them, people will take away. Creators will not create such content and people will see the brighter side of things. So as an immigrant, my only request is support immigrants. And I'm not saying illegal immigrants. Don't take me wrong. I believe in lawful behavior. I want everybody who come in any country, not just America, come lawfully. The society only works and governs by law. Mm-hmm. So make sure you follow law. No question about it. Whatever the law of the land is, has to be governed. Nobody is above and beyond law, no question about it. But those who are lawfully coming in the country, let's support them. Let's acknowledge their hard work. Like you said, nobody comes to a new country being lazy. So
Right.
they're putting hard work. They're doing off shifts. Let's acknowledge and appreciate it. And everybody does mistake. And yeah, support them.
Cool.
Well, listen, my brother, we want to support you because we're glad that you supported us today, right? And we really appreciate your energy, your intellect, your love of your fellow human being. And more importantly, you willing to come on BEP and share your story. And more importantly, your story is about love and about caring. And so what you just asked of us to do, buddy, that's a no-brainer because that is our platform anyway, is to eliminate or to decrease or eliminate all forms of discrimination. So we definitely got your back there. But more importantly, we want to thank Aman for coming on the Black Executive Perspective podcast to share your perspective.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I hope I was able to give different perspectives of an immigrant.
Absolutely, though, bro.
Absolutely.
All right. So now I think it's time for
Tony's Tidbit.
And the tidbit today. Great leaders don't abandon their roots. They build from them. Starting from zero isn't a disadvantage. It's the training ground. Every challenge you survive becomes a tool in any room you enter. You don't rise by blending in. You rise by standing firmly in who you are and turning your difference into your distinction. And you heard a lot of that from our brother, Aman.
Absolutely. So at this time, we'd like to encourage you to check out Need to Know with Nsinga. It's a weekly segment on a Black Executive Perspective podcast where Dr. Nsinga Burton dives into timely and crucial topics that shape our community and our world. She's very passionate, very educated, very poignant, and you absolutely don't want to miss her perspective each week.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out the next Pull Up, Speak Up here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast. Our roundtable will tackle the most provocative issues. These are a sharp perspective, real talk, and a call to action. Tune in to join the revolution. Pull Up, Speak Up here on the Black Executive Perspective podcast.
We also come to you live, interactive, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You want to check out BEP Live on Tuesday evenings. But at this time, we always like to remind you, we would be remiss if we didn't, to incorporate LESS. Less is our goal, our call to action. Our goal is to eliminate all forms of discrimination, like Tony said earlier. And to achieve this, we're asking you to embrace less. The L is for learn. Educate yourself on racial, cultural, and international nuances. So therefore, you can be better informed as you speak and go about your day.
Absolutely. And then after you learn, you have the letter E that stands for empathy. Now, since you've learned about diverse people and cultural nuances, now you can be more empathetic because you can put yourself in their shoes.
The first S stands for share. You want to share your insights and enlighten others. Don't hide it, divide it. I appreciate our guest Aman coming on today to share his experience for future immigrants that may aspire to have a chance in any country.
Absolutely. And the final S stands for stop. You want to stop discrimination as it walks in your path, right? And Aman asked for this earlier. And it's simple. This is something in everyone's control. It is simple as at the Sunday dinner table, if Aunt Jenny or Uncle Joe says something that's inappropriate, instead of sitting there with your mouth open or giggling, you say, Aunt Jenny, Uncle Joe, we don't believe that, we don't say that, and you stop it right there. So if everyone can incorporate less, LESS will build a more fair, more understanding world. And guess what, guys? We all will see the change that we want to see because less will become more.
Want to make sure that you tune in to other episodes we have on our catalog. Like I said, I invite you to interactively tune in on Tuesday evenings. We do back and forth with the audience and we love it. But we want you to go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. It's called A Monthly Perspective. Check that out. We want you to leave us comments and let us know what you'd like to hear us speak about, and subscribe wherever you're listening. And Tony, where can they find us?
My brother, you can find a Black Executive Perspective podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on our social channels of LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at a Black Exec. For our fabulous guest, my man, my brother, new person out in San Jose, California. I can't wait to come out and meet with him. My man, Aman Thakral. My boy, the co-host with the most, my man down in Dallas, Chris P. Reed. I'm Tony Tidbit. We talked about it. We learned about it. We laughed about it. We can continue to strive and thrive about it. We love you. And guess what? We're out.
A Black Executive Perspective.